In this video, we're going to create this dashboard from scratch. Now, I want to remind you that this is the second part of the video. So if you haven't checked out the previous part, feel free to do so, since we're going to build the foundation. And in this video, we're going to finish and wrap everything up. We're back in Figma, and now we're going to continue where we left off in the previous video. So the very first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to add this 3D element, which is from a kit by LS Graphics called Blam. And as you can see, they have like all sorts of these 3D elements, and it can be really useful whenever you're dealing with any given project to consider using other assets, and they can be both free and paid. It really doesn't matter. Of course, the free ones, you're going to need to check the licenses, especially if it's a commercial project. But generally speaking, what is most important is that the general style fits within the goals of that particular client and UI design. So as you can see, we just added them here. I just created this nice little composition. We're going to basically bring it to a place where it's going to be somewhere around these lines. So, all right, now we're going to continue, and we're going to create a few variations of the colors for these Bitcoins items. And as you can see, we're going to need to zoom in just a little bit in order to change the color of the inner part. And I'm going to select all of them right away. And I'm going to try maybe some other color. Something which is not too light. Actually, maybe let's try and just give it the same color as the main green of the stag. And let's actually go ahead and just mix it up just a little bit. I don't really want like the exact same color to be that one. So okay, I think we're good to go. And now what we're going to do next, and actually as I'm really looking at it, I think that I just had this moment of of thinking where maybe this color could actually work even better, so it's even more in line with the usual Bitcoin branding that we're used to look at. All right. So now the very next thing we're going to do is we're going to create a graph element here below. And the first thing that we're going to lay out is the main line. So let's go over here. Let's create some dashed lines. And let's use the same color as this line right here. As you can see, we have our nice dashed lines. We're going to create just a few of these in order to get the main theme. And probably let's just bring this one up just a little bit. And here we go. I'm also going to add a section called overview. Let's make it quite smaller. And essentially, I think that's gonna cover it. All right. Now let's start adding some text elements. So we're going to leverage these ones right here. Let's go ahead and write, for example, 0. Let's bring it all the way down to the very bottom. I'm going to right line this. I'm going to duplicate this just a few times. And I'm going to make sure it's all well distributed. All right. Now let's start writing 100, 200, 300, 400, and 500. And here we have our main values. going to use the same color here and make it just a little bit darker, and also make the text a little bit smaller. And here we go. Now let's go ahead, let's create a few date references over here, and we're going to start adding these on the x-axis. All right, we're going to write different names. All right, perfect. Let's make it a little bit darker as well. And let's bring these guys just a notch on the left. And we definitely have a good base going. Now we can start with the graph. So as you start, what we're going to do is we're going to create some oval right here, and we're going to essentially add some blue color on the left on the stroke, and some white on the inside. And let's essentially go like this using Shift plus Option key, and also Command D. So as you can see, with this combination, you can easily create all of these different dots. So again, it's literally Shift plus Option key, left mouse button, you drag it around, and then Command D. So very easy. Now let's make these ellipses just a little bit smaller, maybe 12. Yeah, it's gonna do. And now let's just move them around. And this is going to create a nice graph variation. All right, now what we want to do is essentially creating a graph which spans around all these lines. We're using the pen tool simply because it's the most just the best tool to really create this. And now let's go back to the original. Let's close it. Is it closed? Yep, it is. And that's all good. So we can now create a fill, which is going to be this blue. And the fill is going to have a linear gradient, just like the previous one. And this first element is going to be very, very light. Now we probably want to remove the stroke. One thing that we're gonna give it a try and do here, which I have never tested live, but I want to give it a shot, is essentially using the drop shadow in order to create the top stroke. As you can see, this works like a charm. All right, now we have an issue when it comes to these dots. Essentially need to set them on the very top, so in the layers panel. So as I did that, you can see that now it's working just fine. Now technically, if I want to increase the stroke by a bit, I just simply move the y-axis of the drop shadow. And here we have our dashboard design pretty much automated. Another thing we can consider doing is adding a selected state in order to show the developers how would that look like. We're going to duplicate one of these rectangles, bring them here, then going to bring this layer all the way to the very top in the Figma document. Then going to select this color, make a very dark version of it. All right, going to duplicate this one as well, bring the layer all the way to the top using Option, Command and the top arrow key, make a white, and here we have our exact date in this nice little popover. Let's round it up even more, and yeah, we pretty much have it. Maybe you can add like a drop shadow or something just to indicate the state. Let's make it one step smaller, and yeah, we pretty much have it. So we're gonna move on in the next video and clean up a lot of this stuff, create the prototype, and yeah, basically wrap this up.